Clickety clack, Benny Kiko is back, and today we're going to be taking a peek at a new toy that I happened to get. Sorry if there's any smudges or anything, this thing is impossible to not get fingerprints on if you actively use it. So for those of you who don't know, I am a software developer, so I ended up buying this for my work, and it comes with a keyboard obviously, so I was like, why not just go ahead and grab this thing and take a review of the keyboard, because wow, how fancy. Because I actually have a couple things that I do want to say about it. It's your typical white on black with some super slim keys, and of course it's membrane, it's not mechanical at all. One thing that I never really noticed until I got into keyboards is that the keycaps for these are actually slightly bigger than you see on normal keycaps. So this is a normal keycap that I'm using on my Bakaneko, and my finger just slightly, if I put it over, it pretty much covers the whole thing. Ignore my ugly callus, I tore it at the gym. And it covers the whole thing, but when I put my finger over these, they're slightly bigger. I don't know if you can see that. They're slightly bigger than my finger. So that's kind of something weird that I'm gonna have to get used to, because I've obviously been typing on these type of keyboards for, you know, the last 10 years, and I finally get a Mac and the key sizes are slightly different. And honestly, there's not really much else to say. I mean, it's just your typical white on black, and they get super greasy, which kind of sucks. I wish they might have been like a less greasy matte, because obviously like I have black keycaps or these ones and no grease, but these are just, you can see that grease like crazy, and I swear I'm not even that greasy of a boy. So with my thoughts on the looks out of the way, I think it's just time to hop into the type test, because then we can actually talk about it and what I think about this keyboard. So without any further ado, please enjoy. So obviously I have quite a few things to say about this keyboard, but I want to be kind of unbiased, because obviously I'm going to like mechanical keyboards more. I mean, that's what I've used for the last, 10 years of my life or whatnot. So I don't want to be too harsh on it, because it is a laptop keyboard. So I'll probably just start out with a couple of things that I do like about it. So the first thing I actually was surprised about this keyboard, and I was a little nervous about, is that the keys are very tactile. When you press them down, you can feel it's being pressed down. I've had laptops in the past where you press down the keys and they're just mushy, you don't really feel any tactility to them. Even though this is a membrane, you feel when you push it down when it comes back up, and it's nice for such a thin keyboard. Another thing that I'm a fan of, it's a little hard to see. I don't even know if you can actually see it at all, but essentially when you run your fingers over them, they have a little bit of an indent, so your finger kind of sits in the middle. It's very slight, it's nothing crazy, but it is there, and I can appreciate that. Another thing is that this keyboard is backlit. I don't know how to turn it on. I assume since I'm shining a bright light on top of it, it's not going to turn on. It's kind of like how your screen brightens on your phone when you're in like a dark room or whatnot, or it dims itself down. So I assume that the laptop keys are probably the same thing. If like I block out the light sense wherever it is, maybe the keyboard will turn on, but it's just a solid white. But it honestly helps out having that with this laptop, especially when I use it in a dark room. And the last thing that I'm a fan of, it kind of goes for all laptops, but since these keys are pretty thin, it allows me to type a little bit faster. I mean, a key like this, it takes a while to press down relative to one of these. So the travel distance is a lot shorter and allows me to type a little bit faster. So on to the things that I don't like about this keyboard. My old laptop is a Razer Blade, and if you can see here, the keys are slightly smaller. It's kind of hard to see it over the camera, but the keys on here are slightly smaller, and they more closely resemble the size of a normal keycap like this. Compared to these keys, they are slightly bigger, and it has been taking me a while to kind of get used to, especially since I haven't fully transitioned over to the laptop. So I'm still fat fingering a bunch of different keys because the sizes are different. Another thing that I'm not a fan of is these are by far the slimmest keys I've ever used. The Razer Blade that I just showed is pretty close, but these are extra thin, and I mess up typing so much more. I can go a little faster, but I have so much trouble differentiating between keys. I fat fingered them so much. I'm sure with time it'll get better and my typing will slightly adjust. Like I didn't want to show you guys because I was embarrassed, but the monkey types that I did, I was getting like 60 words per minute, not because I was going slow, but just because I was messing up on so many words. And the last thing I want to talk about is the sound. And just to be fair, I don't like the sound of most laptop keyboards. They all sound the same. It kind of reminds me of like, I always just picture whenever I hear someone typing fast on a laptop, just like an octopus arm with all like the suction cups and someone just pulling it off like, that's what it reminds me of. I don't know why, but when I'm in the library and I hear all the kids typing away on their MacBooks or laptops, me too, it just reminds me of that. But one thing I noticed about the sound is that it's actually quite deep compared to other keyboards that I've used. For example, if you can hear this, I'll bring this one over again. My Razer blade, it's pretty high pitched. And there's like a little jiggle in there. And these on the MacBook, they're actually in place really well. And when you push it side to side, you don't hear anything. And they have a deeper tone. It's a little more quiet, but it's also deeper. So I think it is an improvement from the last keyboard that I used. And that's something that I don't mind too much. The sound could have been worse, but I think they did a good job since they're working with a laptop. And one last thing I want to mention, I don't know if this is just a computer feature, but it's on the keyboard, so I'm going to say it. I like this little fingerprint thing. I wish they never took it out of iPhones to begin with. I can't stand Face ID, but the nice fingerprint right here, and it logs you in. Super cool little feature, and I use it obviously all the time. But with that being said, that's going to be it for the review of the MacBook M1 Pro keyboard. If you want to see how this membrane keyboard compares to a mechanical keyboard, go ahead and check out this video. It's going to be right around here, and you guys can go ahead and make that comparison and see the difference between a mechanical keyboard that's freestanding versus a laptop keyboard. As always, please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.